Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome. It's so wonderful to be here together. I'm Rabbi Sam Tygiel, the new assistant rabbi here at Shereth Israel. And I also wanted to say, for anyone that I haven't had a chance to meet yet, please make sure to come say hi to me at Oneg. I would love to just put some more names to faces and get to know everybody. And we're here with Simon and Kiisenia Barrad, who are our amazing musical team, and just really excited to sing together tonight. So I want to invite up our board greeter, Tiffany, to say hello on behalf of the board.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm Tiffany Lowenberg, and I am fresh from traveling, and I was on the East Coast for a bit, had a little bit of 100-degree weather, was in Utah for a bit, had 103-degree weather. So as always, it's nice to come home to San Francisco and have our summer. Anyway, just want to welcome everybody on behalf of the Board of Trustees, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I wanted to offer, actually, sort of related to what you just said, I wanted to offer an invitation for candle lighting, which is that our Parsha this week deals with one of the many things that it speaks about is the pilgrimage festivals in the land of Israel that our ancestors did to come from all across the land to Jerusalem. And I was just curious, who's been traveling recently? And if you have come back in the last 2 or 3 weeks from a trip of any kind of pilgrimage, I'd love to invite you to come join us and light our Shabbat candles. Oh, wow.
Yours was in Europe, wasn't it?
It's hard to escape these days, yeah?
It's nice
You
to come back.
just come back to San Francisco, see the fog, and go.
Yeah. Who wants to do the official honors?
I'm just going to stand.
Ooh, that's the tough one.
It smells better that way, too.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, letzivanu, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. You may be seated, and also may the travels that we go on, the adventures that we go on, help us bring new perspective and new light into our lives here at home. We'll turn to our songs of Kabbalat Shabbat, of greeting and bringing in Shabbat. And I wanted to just say a word about this song that we've been singing. This song comes from one of my, and actually the first song that we sing as well, from one of my dear teachers, Joey Weisenberg, who's a composer and also just a brilliant thinker about what it means to pray and sing together. And one of the things that I learned from him is that in the old Ashkenazi synagogues, the old Eastern European synagogues of many years ago, this was one of those, and they had a number of different ways that you could participate with the music. And one was that you could sing the songs when they were congregational songs, but another was that you could just sometimes when the prayer leader was doing something that was a little more improvisational, a little bit more free, that there were a number of musicians, a number of singers, and also the congregants would hum along underneath to create this wonderful sound. So I invite you to join us in trying this practice with this melody. So you can start. You can just keep that hum going. And the wonderful thing is when a whole congregation is humming, the sound will just keep happening, right? You can take a breath whenever you want, whenever you need to. Come, let us sing together.
Adonai, shir chadash, shir Adonai kol haaretz, shir Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shir Adonai, shir chadash, shir Adonai kol haaretz, shir Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai u'mehula me'od, nora hu al kol Elohim. Shir Adonai, shir chadash, shir Adonai kol haaretz, shir Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. חמדה ליבי, חוסנה ואל נא תתעלם. חמדה, חמדה ליבי, חוסנה ואל נא תתעלם. חמדה, חמדה ליבי, חוסנה ואל נא תתעלם. חמדה ליבי, חוסנה ואל נא תתעלם. חמדה, חמדה ליבי, חוסנה ואל נא תתעלם. חמדה, חמדה ליבי, חוסנה ואל נא תתעלם. חמדה ליבי, חוסנה ואל נא תתעלם. חמדה, חמדה ליבי, חוסנה ואל נא תתעלם. חמדה, חמדה ליבי, חוסנה ואל נא תתעלם.
Turn to page 20, Lecha Dodi, our special song of welcoming in that special Shabbat presence.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כלי מקור הברכה, בראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. אוי ושלום עטרת פלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמון עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
are still standing, to maybe take a moment and say hello to someone next to you, have a little bit of Shabbat greeting, a little connection with somebody. And I also want to make an invitation that anyone who is standing back where the pews are, if you'd like, we've got lots of seats up here. And the sound up here with everybody singing is really wonderful. So no pressure, but you can, if you would like, come join us a little closer up. Our ancestors recognize that different parts of the service have different energies, and we sometimes need to do a little energy switch. And that's what the Kaddish, we think about the mourner's Kaddish that we say, it comes from sort of a family of prayers. The Kaddish, the Kaddish Shalem, the full Kaddish, the Chatzi Kaddish, the half Kaddish, that actually are sort of portals between different energies and different parts of the service. So we're going to have one of those energetic switches right now as we go into our Chatzi Kaddish, our half Kaddish, on page 26.
Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach hirute ve'amlich malchute. B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, veimeru,
Amen.
yesh merabba mevarach,
Le'alam ulam me'almaya,
yitbarach, yitbarach, ve'yishtabach, ve'yitpa'ar, ve'yitromam, ve'yitnaseh, ve'yitadar, ve'yitaleh, ve'yitalal, shemei dekudesha,
Berichu.
Leila min kol birchata ve'shirata, tush bechata ve'nechemata, Daviran be'alma ve'imeru.
Amen. We remain standing as we turn to the Baruch Hu. We call each other into prayer, page 28.
Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Le'olam Va'ed Le'olam Va'ed Yalalayla Yalalayla Yalalayla
Page 30, a prayer for the changing of the time of day. As the sun sets, the moon becomes visible, the stars come to our attention. We notice this and we bless this too. Please join me In Hebrew, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עיתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיהם ברקיע ברצונו. בורא יום ולילה, עולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה.
אדוני צבאות
שמו.
אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד.
ברוך אתה אדוני, מעריב ערבים. Page 32, a prayer about love, reminding us that love continues and continues and continues, and like a flame passed from one wick to another, the flame is not diminished when we share love with each other. The love is not diminished, but can only grow and spread.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו למדת, אותנו למדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו, קומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ומצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם בלילה, נגי יומם בלילה. באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 39, join me in the English. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Mi Chamocha, page 40. Return to the sound of that drone, the sound of potential, the sound of a world that's coming into being. As we turn to Vishamru on page 44, it reminds us that Shabbat is something that our ancestors said existed from the very beginning, when the world was just water and nothingness. God began to create and dream up this world, and the crown of that creation was Shabbat, an everlasting sign of connection between us and that which is holy. Vishameru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam berit olam. Join me. Vishameru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam berit olam. Beini uven bnei Israel odi
Shabbat vayinavash beini beini uben bnei Yisrael odi leolam ki sheisher yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz Yedirai layla
Now, with all of this good energy that we have roused up, that we have built up in our hearts and our souls and our bodies through our singing and our songs, we turn our hearts and our attention to the people who we are holding in our hearts for healing. And we send that energy to them that they may find a complete healing, a refuah shlema in body and in spirit for anything that and everything that is ailing them. So we will sing our song of healing. We'll pause in the middle. I will share the names that we're praying for in the community, and then I'll invite everyone to share the names of people that you are holding in your heart for healing this Shabbat. Page 253.
Misheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Will Gaines, Richard Green, Jacqueline Kornblatt, Albert Leibovitz, Edward Andrew Martinez, Ellen Newman, Laurel Rest, Ellen Schum, Richard Schwartzberg, Phyllis Scheftel from Eppas Razel, Andrew Tolson, Curtis Wallace, Karen Wiener, Giselle Wine, Yaakov Ben Zelda. And we add to their names the names that are spoken aloud right now.
Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. I invite you to rise. We offer our central standing prayer, our prayer that connects us to our ancestors, that connects us to a sense of all of the things that God does to sustain the world. And we remind ourselves that sometimes what it means for God to sustain the world means for us to take on the mantle of doing that work, of what it means to sustain the world, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to let free those who are in captivity. So we call upon those best attributes in ourselves, hoping that sympathetically those attributes will also emerge in God and in the greater world. Page 46, we begin with our prayer asking for the power to pray.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekoneh HaKol, Vezocher Chaste Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula livnei v'neihem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav ve'hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Ishenei afar, Mi chamocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may continue silently on your own with the prayers of the Siddur or the prayers of your own heart, or simply be present. begin this prayer that we just offered by asking for God to help us pray. And we conclude it by asking God, can that prayer that we just said have been a really good prayer? Even if we said it imperfectly, if we didn't know all the words, if we were distracted, could you accept it and hold on to it dearly as if it was the most beautiful thing you'd ever heard? On page 62, the middle of the page. Shabbat Shalom. Our parsha this week, Parshat Re'eh. We are now about halfway through the final book of the Torah. And we have entered what academics often call the law code. And the law code has sort of a central animating question. It asks, what is proper service of God, and how do we serve God through the societies that we build? And for me, whenever we talk about service of God, sometimes that word feels a little clinical, right? But in Hebrew, this word avodah has a deep meaning. It has a sense of work. It has a sense of labor. It has a sense of spirituality. And I'm always curious, what does it mean for us to do that work? And what does it mean for us to enter into our lives more fully as spiritual beings? And so, as I was reading the Parsha this week, I was drawn to an interesting phrase that occurs again and again that really fascinates me as a spiritual practitioner. And this phrase comes in the context of Moses telling us multiple times that we are no longer to do the service of God, whatever that is, to do this spiritual work in any place, but we should do it bamakom asher yivchar Adonai Elohecha, in the place that Adonai, your God, will choose. Now, if you've been reading the Torah up to this point, this was maybe your first time reading, this might come as a big surprise. Because up until this point, our ancestors have prayed to God and offered their sacrifices wherever they wanted, right? Our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, when they wanted to pray to God, it didn't matter if they were in the Holy Land or outside of the Holy Land. It didn't matter if they were in Beersheba or Haran or Beit Lechem. they offered their prayer and their service and their spirituality to God wherever they were. Once we created the Mishkan, the tabernacle, after the giving of the Torah, we started to do our prayer together as a community, but we could do it anywhere. Wherever the tabernacle moved to the Sinai desert, that's where we went, and that's where we prayed and did our service to God. And now, all of a sudden, Moses comes along and says, stop it. Stop doing those prayers just anywhere. Do it in the one place where God lives, in the place that God will choose. And I think these two sort of competing narratives about where we offer our prayer that we have within our Torah kind of elucidate for us a central Jewish paradox that for me is essential to what it means to be a spiritual practitioner of Judaism, which I believe all of us to be. If you've walked into this room, you are in some way or another a spiritual practitioner of Judaism. And this paradox is expressed, I think, most beautifully and most interestingly in a prayer that you'll find in a prayer book. And I actually invite you to take your prayer book and turn to page 130, where you'll find this. This is a prayer that we say during morning services. So if you've ever been to a bar mitzvah service here, or if in the past you went to morning services, or at the high holidays we sometimes do this, on page 130 you'll see this prayer. You might recognize it to a melody that goes something like, Nikadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, kakatuv ayad neviacha, v'karazeh el zeh ve'amar. And then we get to the crux, the really important part. Kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. Right? And so this is a holy, holy, holy Adonai, the Tzivaot. And then it says, the core part, Melo chol haaretz kivodo. The whole world is full of God's glory. And this seems to be articulating what many theologists like to refer to as an immanent theology, right? The idea that God is right here, that there is, as the Jewish mystics say, there's no place that is devoid of God, that God can be found anywhere and everywhere. This was the consciousness of our patriarchs of the world before Moses said, you have to go to the specific place. The sense was God could be found anywhere. And we actually have this reflected in an interesting way in our stained glass of Moses receiving the commandments in Yosemite, right? And there is this idea that the reformers had in the early 20th century that you didn't have to go to the Holy Land. You didn't have to go to Israel to experience this deep spirituality. It really was wherever you were, that's where God was. And so we wanted to celebrate the unique relationship we had with God here in California. And I also like to think of this sometimes as the God of awareness and presence. And that we can remember at any time that our body is a reflection of the divine. Right? We are made in the image of the divine. And so our senses, simply on our own, can help us connect to the mystery of the world and remember that we live in a world that is animated and suffused with divine energy. And we can do that anytime. We can tap into that with just the right sort of shift of how we think about where we are. But this prayer doesn't end, right, with Melo chol haaretz kivodo. It goes on to say a different phrase, which seems to offer a different kind of spirituality, where it says, Baruch kivod Adonai mimkomo. And I think actually the translation, which is takes a little bit of license, it's a little creative, very beautifully illustrates this point. If you take a look, this is 5 lines down in the English. Blessed is the presence of God shining forth from where God dwells. This prayer seems to say, God has a home. And there are some places that are God's home, and some places that are not God's home. And this sort of hints at what we might call a transcendent theology, right? The idea that in order to encounter God, we have to leave the place that we are and go somewhere other, go somewhere different, inspire a sense of awe and otherworldly splendor, right? That's why our ancestors here at Shereth Israel created a temple that was awe-inspiring, right? That's why they put these vaulting arches and all this incredible artwork, was so that we weren't just praying to God in our basement, right? But we were praying to God in a place that was elevated, in a place that was transcendent. And there's also, I think, a sense of this kind of, in our portion, as I mentioned before, we were told that we're going to do our service in the place that God will choose, and that's going to be a place of pilgrimage, right? So people are going to come from all over the Holy Land, which was no small feat back in those days, and gather together. So this kind of transcendent consciousness also happens in places where we have big gatherings of people, right? It's not something you can just do on your own. And I think the fact that we have both of these kinds of spirituality, the kind of Melo Chol Haaretz Kivodo, that God is everywhere, and Baruch Shem Kivod, or Baruch Kivod Adonai Mimkomo, that God is somewhere else and we have to go find God, the fact that we have both of them is so important, and we actually need to touch into both of them to really touch into that deeper, fuller sense of spirituality. And I got a real experience of this during COVID-19, during the pandemic, because I went from a life where I was hanging out with Jews all the time, we were singing in big groups and having these wonderful experiences, and suddenly I couldn't go outside, I couldn't see anyone, I was totally on my own. And I had to completely reorient my sense of spirituality. And I took it upon myself to try to pray at least a little bit every single day. And sometimes I'd be walking through the forests in Philadelphia and Mount Airy where I was living, or sometimes I'd just be sitting in my room. But I learned through this practice that no matter where I was, I could tap into that deeper sense of something, right? I could notice that the world that I lived in was divine, even though there was so much disconnection and loneliness at that time. I could find just through my own voice, or just through contemplation on the words of my ancestors or my breath, I could notice that I was in still a holy place. So it really helped me develop that sense of Melo Chol Haaretz Kivodo. The whole world is full of God's glory, and I can access it on my own at any time. Then at the end of COVID, I got to have a little taste, I think, also of what it felt like to have that transcendent, otherworldly connection when I got to go to my first baseball game back in Fenway Park. I was living in Boston. I went to see, I was just looking back at it. It was April 20th, 2021, at Fenway Park, the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. And when Xander Bogaerts hit a home run to give the Red Sox the lead, the feeling in the stadium was unlike anything I had ever felt before, because it had been missing for so long. Even though we were just like about 12,000 people, right? Usually baseball games is like, if you have a full stadium, it's 40,000 people, but they were limiting who could come. But this, even with that, it was this swell of energy of what it feels like to have thousands of people focused on the same thing, thousands of people giving their whole heart to presence in a specific place for a specific activity. And it brought me to life in a new way, and it was such a gift. And I think I'll never forget that moment of coming back to baseball after our year of what felt like total isolation. And I think between those two poles, by deepening in my own that practice of personal prayer, and then re-engaging with the practice of leaving the place where you are and going with a community to have an experience of the beyond, I was able to really widen my sense of my own connection to the holy. So I want to offer an invitation for everyone over the next week, which is that the next time you have a spark of spiritual connection, no matter how small it is, I invite you to ask yourself, is this little spark of spirituality that I'm experiencing a spirituality through the lens of an immanent God, a God who is here, a God whose presence suffuses the whole world? Or is it an experience of a transcendent God, something that is above and beyond our normal way of living, something that is experienced in a community who chose to come to put their particular focus in a particular place? And once you've identified that moment, I invite you to bless it accordingly with the words from page 130. For an immanent moment, you can say, Milo chol haaretz kivodo, the whole world is full of God's glory. And for those transcendent, otherworldly, beyond moments, Baruch kivod Adonai mimkomo, blessed is the presence of God shining forth from where God dwells. And you can notice the ways that each of these different consciousnesses expand your ability to perceive and take part in the holiness of our world. Whether or not you want to call that specialness God, through these paradoxical practices of spiritual awareness that our Parsha invites us into, we can learn to become more present and more whole in our everyday lives. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata Adon lechol hashalom, ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We turn to our concluding prayers, the Aleinu, page 282. We remember that it is upon us to do the work of making the world a better place.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Be seated. We turn our attention to those who we have loved and lost in this time of year in past years, and also those who we lost recently in our community. So as I read the names of the people that we are remembering who are in their first year of mourning, I invite you to rise if I say the name of someone that you are connected to. In a period of Shiva, in the first 7 days since a death, Clea Conceição de Lima, and in a period of Shloshim, Marcia Gruskin, and Daniel Newstein. If there's anyone that you are mourning who passed away recently, I invite you to rise and share their name with us. And in our perpetual memorial, Eddie Block, Cantor Martin Feldman, Alvin Fix, Toby Joyce Fix, Edmund Green, Steve Krieger, and Robert Voss. And if you are and for the people that we are remembering who died at this time in seasons past, whose yard sites we honor in the coming week, Ingrid Apter, Helene Antoinette Pesanti Duboloy Carlisle, Regina Fellman, Kenneth I. Gottlieb, Joan Hayes, Arthur Hyman, Rose Israelite, Judy McDale, Stuart Snyder, Philip Steiner, and Edward Yawitz. And if there's anyone else who's observing a yard site this week, please rise and share the name of your loved one with us. For everyone that we have mentioned, we recite the mourner's Kaddish, uplifting their memories and uplifting the innate holiness of this world that we are in and in the worlds beyond where our loved ones rest. Page 294, please join me.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari ve'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh. Ve'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav,
hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. May their memories be a blessing. We'll join together with our song for peace at the bottom of page 294.
Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. You may be seated. And we've got a lot coming up on our calendar here at Cherith Israel. We are about to enter, we are a week away from entering the month of Elul, which is our month of preparation for the High Holy Days. So we've got an event on August 14th, next Friday, about the shofar. That'll be really special with Maurice. We'll have, for members, we have a Nash and Shmooze with Michelle Spitz coming up on August 20th. More bite-sized learning with Rabbi Graf. And an event on August 27th about SF Politics 101 that I think will be really good and valuable going into the upcoming election to help us be grounded in how we can lift up our voice through at the ballot box to do our work of making the world a better place. And I also want to flag, we extended the deadline to get your loved ones' names in the memorial book. So if you have someone that you want to have remembered in the memorial book that we'll have at the High Holidays, please, just by the end of this weekend, if you can get that into us, and you can find the information in your Cherith Israel emails. And yeah, so we also, after the service, we will gather together for an oneg, for a little nash, and an opportunity to get to know each other, say hi to some new folks. And I also wanted to say, for a lot of you, I'm the new folks. So if you haven't had a chance to say hi to me or introduce yourself, I would love to meet everybody and get to put names and faces together, especially as we're getting ready to go into the High Holidays and welcome many, many more people into our sanctuary. So we'll conclude with Shalom Aleichem as we'll make our way into the foyer. Shabbat Shalom.